This movie tells a story about Julia, a young actress who just moved to town with her boyfriend. As a serial killer stalks the city, she notices a mysterious stranger watching her from across the street. First of all, the plot about American tourists spooked out by what they see on their visit to a European country will always be a good premise for a film. The same goes for movies concerned with voyeurism, whether our protagonist is the one watching or the one being watched. Horror movies inspired by the unique voyeurism of apartment living and being a stranger in a strange land is nothing new as well. This new thriller brings together these two promising premises. The movie largely succeeds in terms of its technical craft. With evocative cinematography, the movie is an exercise in building the atmosphere as it's all appropriately eerie and off-putting. Unfortunately, that's the only positive aspect of the movie. The movie does nothing new and relies heavily on dated tropes. It's unable to bring any necessary originality and never quite as satisfying as it should be. The script simply doesn't drive the film in any particular direction. Its lack of anchor leaving it to feel entirely shallow. The movie offers viewers style and atmosphere to spare, but never quite manages to engage us in a way that comes across as gripping or scary. The filmmakers seem to assume that the film scenery will do all the heavy lifting. This is a horror movie that thinks mood and atmosphere as substitute for genuine thrills. Unfortunately, they are not. The movie eventually settles for cheap thrills as everything feels reduced to easy plot beats. It spells out every plot point to a T when we wish it would slowly, playfully tug at the threads of our anxieties. Instead of leaning into the ambiguous tensions and uncanny experiences, the movie ending up a heavy-handed, predictable trip through genre tropes with a rather lifeless cast at its core. There are a handful of convenient plot devices that take away from any real potential for tension throughout the film. The movie doesn't try to interrogate all the questions about the watcher and their subject with a little more finesse. The script should invest more in its own story, playing up the surreal and unnameable feeling of being alone and the ever-present, very feminine feeling of being observed. The performance from the cast is quite good. Unfortunately, it's also in service of a poorly fleshed out character. The movie becomes more predictable as it progresses, until an ending that feels both like a cheap last-minute attempt to steer the film into a more topical direction and hard to care about. Things pick up a bit during the finale, but it proves to be too little too late to make much of an impact. Overall, this movie has a good atmosphere. It's also a gorgeous-looking film, utilizing its foreign setting for a combination of sleazy, frightening locations and beautiful European streets. Unfortunately, everything else is just disappointing. We do not recommend this movie at all.